Hey, good morning, Tyler.
Morning, Philippe. How are you?
Very good, and you? I am very happy to welcome you at the Whiskey Creek Railway. And today we are going to speak about a very special project that you have been leading while you were in your last year of college.
Yeah, so, I took landscape architecture at the University of Kentucky. Of course, that's why I'm wearing the shirt. And at the end of it, I did find I had all of my drawings. In the final year, it was a 5-year program. We spent the entire semester building a railway station, or designing and building and mapping out all of the details of a railway station, because the prof, Neiman, was super excited about these riding trains. So we spent the entire semester mapping this thing out. So it was a full set of drawings. We called it the Garden Railway Association of the Bluegrass on Aristides Boulevard in Lexington, Kentucky. That's my old address and everything. Let me lay this thing down. I was one of the few students that actually decided to do the whole project in CAD. To give you a sense of scale, I think I was learning CAD 11. I don't know what they're on now, but I think it's more like 30. So, and my prof, the prof was hilarious. I said, Tom, can I do this in CAD? He goes, yeah, sure, but you can't be late. So you can learn CAD on your own time. And everybody else was drawing. And the best was when they would make a mistake on their drawings, they had to redo the whole thing. And I could make a couple of clicks and fix something. So it was heavy upfront work for a lot of ease of making updates and changes. So we had the actual location. I have no idea if there's actually a space there now, but we had a very actual location at the corner of 75 and Newtown or something like that on Aristides. And as you can see, several pages to getting the work done. So the initial presentation,
wow,
was, as I said, all in CAD. So it was pretty clean looking. I had to create some of these templates. Oh man, this is bringing back memories. We had to deal with elevations. We had to have our own retention pond. So you can see that those are pipes. So they would be draining through all of the parking lot that would drain into the retention pond, and that would be the height of the pond, and you can see there'd be an ability to manage the water level. This was an amphitheater built up, and this was a high point up here. We had a pond here, and you can see the bridge that would have been over the water feature. And in fact, we had 2 bridges, or I had 2 bridges, and a waterfall. Look at that. Oh man, this is actually pretty good. I forgot.
So was it going to be in a park or the backyard of a house?
Oh yeah, the premise, I should have said, the premise was to design the miniature railroad fad appeared to be growing, and so this was basically where avid fans would show up, and you had a whole presentation center. It was a way to get more people into the little railroad group. There would be, this would be an auditorium where you could have presentations as the train would go around overhead, and then this was actually a presentation center, so you'd come in and park your car. So you come off the street, come in, you could back up to here, unload your train, and then go park your car and trailer, or you could come and pick somebody up and then head on out of here. Or you could carry your one car over to connect with somebody else's train. This is a bit of an homage to the roundhouse where the trains would spin. And then we had a service entrance, so you could service. So this was the conference center type of thing. So this would be dealing with refuse and power and all of that stuff. So this was kind of the back end of the building. But everything had to be self-contained on the property, so we had to I had to figure out, how to make sure everything sloped inward, and we managed our own water retention and dealt with how water needed to be dealt with on a piece of property, just like any type of development.
So it was a special purpose property, and I've heard the word FAD. So at that time, in your opinion, large-scale model railroad for backyards where there was a growing interest for that hobby?
That's what our professor told us, and that's how he came up with this concept of us all taking this piece of property. So we all had the same size and the same space. We did different things with it.
So all the students had actually the same project?
Yes. There were 26 of us when we started and 16 when we finished the 5-year program. So we lost a few on the way, but there was a good number of us making this exact same concept, bringing it to life, where they had a train that could run around.
So of course it would be interesting to see the other 15 other projects and to compare. That could be the theme of another video.
It could, yeah. And you can see this was December of '96. Wow, it's a while ago. I'm going to move on to the next.
Go ahead.
So that was the overall piece, and we have some detailed kind of zoom in. Here's your presentation center. It identifies some of the texture of the walkways getting across the parking lot. So that was a raised, like a speed bump type of thing. We had ADA compliant, handicap accessible, and all of the sidewalks had to work to make that where anybody could get to the space and enjoy the space. And then plenty of trees, and these were, I remember this was also in the beginning phase of when interlocking brick was able to actually also, it was designed so that it could be permeable. So I remember that. Yeah, the garden. And then we had some gardens up at the front at the entrance. See what we got on the next page. Oh, this is a detailed planting drawing. Wow. Yeah, this one is without the color. It's just a little bit showing how we built up the planting around some of the grade changes around the bridges. And then we had to get into the nitty-gritty of dimensions, understanding how big everything is and the radius that needed to be designed to get everything to work, and how the interconnectedness of the design, so the building connected and lined up with this and that. We would really geek out over this stuff. And the swale, so you had to grade your roads to make sure that water traveled in the right direction and drained in the right direction and had enough room for cars to move around. So yep. Now the real grading happens. You can see this is just all grading, talking about these are 1 foot changes. And
what is the maximum variation of elevation? Are you able to find that easily?
No, I'd have to look at some math. I mean, it drops down to 26 and up to, that's 37, 43. Yeah, 43.
So there is about 20 feet variation between.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. 43 would be the peak because these were the high points over here.
And the railroad is fairly flat. I imagine the teacher told you that train don't go very well
absolutely.
Up the hill.
Yeah, it had to be. I think it was under 2% rise was what we had to do, and we tried to give a little bit of excitement. I don't.
By the way, 2% is the exact number.
Yes.
So
yes. Well, we learned it. I mean, we got browbeat over it. We couldn't go. We definitely couldn't make it so the train would get stuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, we knew all of the details. We had to understand it all, and Tom made sure that we knew that 2% was our max, and we had to figure out ways to get elevation and make different spaces. We had to at least make it interesting while you putt along at less than a 2% height change. It's not exactly a roller coaster.
Exactly. Okay. Let's continue.
You want me to flip it first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is this one?
So this is the drainage plan. These are specific
Wow.
details of how you get a waterfall feature right here. Those of you that can read plan drawings can see that all those elevations change on that one line, which means it's a sheer wall, and then creating shape of the pond, too big for or too small for a lake, and then all of that grade climbing to where you have another set of seating areas, so you could put something on presentation display here, and have an amphitheater space while the train was up above behind you, traveling around.
Yeah, and if I can make a comment, drainage is one of the most important things when you build a railroad, a miniature railroad, even a real one, because water and winter will destroy everything. So it's very important to remove as much water as you can almost immediately after there is some rain.
Absolutely, and what you can see here, we had these are all the drainage points that connected the piping to our swale. So we kept the water at a max level by connecting and tying to the parking area and tying everything together, so it kept all the water at one level, and this was our retention over here, separate from the water that we had in the pond.
Very good.
Yeah, lots of math, lots of charts. I can't believe I did all that work. Because there's no cheating, you have to figure it all out. Oh, this was exciting. This is the lighting plan. So when you're calculating, and this would all be different nowadays with LEDs, but we were dealing with high pressure sodium and the other one, the brighter one, high intensity, HID. Anyway.
Yes, so the same that they use today on the car lots,
yes,
the car dealers.
Yeah, the thing that we got a chuckle about with the high pressure sodium, they're the slightly orange, warmer lights. The little known fact, the Autobahn is covered in that particular light, so when you can't see the color red under that light. So crime scenes are a little bit gray and mysterious under that high pressure sodium lights. We thought that was kind of cool, and when, of course, we'd all be geeking out at night because we worked around the clock on this stuff and talking about how we could have crime scenes at our train station and nobody would really know because blood was gray, just you wouldn't see it. So
very good.
These are the larger light fixtures, those tall towering lights that you see in Home Depot and whatnot, right? The big parking lighting, and then we had to tie them all together so you could see kind of, it's not exactly how the wiring would go, but at least it would connect all of these together so that they would be powered together. But we had lighting to illuminate the bridges, these two bridges and the water feature, and then this one was, I'm pretty sure, to shoot a strong bit of light against the waterfall. But we had to tie it all together, and we had to get a certain amount of I think it was lumens. We were dealing with lumens and candle watt, and that stuff is a mess. It's still a mess today when you try and do the math between them. Watts, lumens, candle light. Anyway, it's still very frustrating.
Very good.
Then this is the planting. This is the planting diagram. So you got to map out all the types of trees. So way back when, I knew a lot of Latin for the genus and species of trees. So you have to list all your trees. They're labeled. There's a formula to find out which one's which. And then ultimately you'd get a landscape team to come out, and they'd know where to put the plant material. This would have gotten a lot of my attention and time, and eventually I used to have an email address that was plant guy at whatever. And then you want to give also to the landscape crew, you got to give them some specific drawings. These would be the details of how to do a proper planting. I don't think anybody ever builds a planting bed that big for one tree anymore, but you know, it's best intentions. And then this would be the actual railroad and the bedding that had to be done to make sure that they didn't have any challenges.
Very good.
With water and freezing and all that. So this one's a retaining wall detail. So how do you get a grade elevation change? How do you make sure it gets the water draining through the wall properly, draining away from the wall, and a proper footing? So we got rebar tying in there.
So, and that was the last sheet, if I understand well. So did you get a good grade for this project?
Oh, I'm sure I got an amazing grade, but I have no
A
idea
plus plus.
I doubt it. No, but it was a nice piece of work, and it you know, the challenge of doing it on a computer is that you can lose some of that artistry of being able to just freehand draw. So that was probably the learning CAD, trying to figure out how to be still creative with a click instead of an HB number 2. That was a challenge, but I think it worked out quite nicely.
Tyler, this is really very interesting for the viewers, and also when I post those videos on social media, because I see a lot of questions about the layout. So many of us are building a backyard train layout, and immediately one of the first questions is, what is going to be your layout? So I think that you are dead on explaining the big picture of what the track is going to look like and what the surroundings are.
Yeah, so we were given free rein to do anything. So that's both a blessing and a curse at the same time, because if you don't have any parameters, then you just don't know where to start, right? You go, I want one of these, I want one of those, I want one of these. So the first step was kind of listing out what did we need to have, and so that's when you start looking at the drawing, and I say, okay, well, I wanted to have water, so I got water. I wanted to have an amphitheater, so I figured out an amphitheater. I needed to be able to park however many people that is, and a drop-off, so that starts to give me a sense of what I need for space there. I need people to be able to bring in a trailer and turn properly to unload the train, so we needed that. So once you start to line that out, I wanted to have a clean service to the building so that it wasn't obnoxious dumpster trailer or dumpsters and you know, service access for catering and whatnot. So that gives me this area. Then I needed to cover it up because there's a train going right past it. So you start to map all of the things that you want, and then I had to figure out how would this fit. And you can see that there's a grade change from this end to this end. It's going down based on these little lines that are talking about how the sidewalk slopes away. So you can see this is kind of a high point, and it all goes down that way. So that's how it ended up, where I was able to bring all of this up here on the high point, because then it can overlook and oversee. So you could come out, walk out here, and you'll get to oversee all of the different features, and you get to see the train as it goes around. Because as we joked before, it wasn't exactly going uphill very much.
And just to have an idea, what was the total length of the track?
Oh, I think we looked at it. I had another one. This section here was 110. So if we say 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, it's almost 900 some odd linear feet. Plus, you know, if you add that track. Yeah.
So, Tyler, that was a very good project. Let's speak about the after project. Have you had ever any dream that it would be built, or what else?
Well, as far as I was concerned, it was built because I could see it and I drew it up. So that was all. That was the job. I wasn't at the point back then in the building phase. I built stuff not quite that big, but yeah, for sure. I did some shopping centers, and we never got to do any railroad trains though. But you know, looking back at this after all these years, I'm pretty pleased with the work. I was like, wasn't bad.
Okay, so yeah, the project got built on paper and of course in your brain to be able to put all those elements together. So that's a completed project. The purpose was not necessarily to build it physically on a piece of land.
Yeah, otherwise you'd have 20 different people fighting over whose drawing was better.
That's good.
Right.
Okay, so Tyler, I want to thank you very much. And now next step could be for us to try to enjoy a train ride on the Whiskey Creek Railway.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Yes, please. Yes, please. It's been a Wow, I love the way it sort of rolls. You can feel it rolling a little bit from one side to the other. Look at this. Choo choo!
So this is the silver mine.
Oh, this is awesome. Look at this. You've been digging under here for... This is crazy.
So here that will be my underground garage. The steel bridge, it's a similar project as yours.
Yep.
The engineering department, they had a project of a steel bridge for students.
Okay.
And when they were done, my son Martin, who was part of the project, told me they are going to scrap it. If you pay them the $200 of the scrap, it's yours.
Oh, that's awesome.
So now I need to do the abutments and
Wow.
but I have all the part of a 20-foot long steel bridge
Oh, that's cool.
with 1-inch flexion with a 2,000-pound weight on it.
That's awesome. So get building. Let's go.
Well, Tyler, thank you very much for coming today and this very quality presentation. I'm sure that all our viewers are going to enjoy it.
Yes, thank you very much, Philippe.